settlement ultimately is a frustrating one for us in some respects. We attempted to articulate in court that we felt this was a scenario that should not have been dealt with as harshly or as punitively. Mr. Curnow understands and accepts responsibility for his role in the episode. He has been forthright about that. He's worked very hard to communicate that to the prosecution. The ultimate resolution was one that was likely not completely satisfying to either side, but that tends to be the nature of compromise. And compromise is at times difficult to achieve. We were pleased to bring closure to something that's been extraordinarily difficult for Mr. Curnow and for his family.
What would you say about the public trust component? I mean, that's what this is really about.
I think that a complete picture of the facts has not been presented. We were able to resolve Mr. Curnow's case by resolution or settlement. Obviously, that means there wasn't a trial with witness testimony and cross-examination of witnesses. That, in our view, would have been a very interesting process with uncertain results. We attempted today to articulate that there are different ways of viewing some of the facts in the case, and that the case was not as obvious or as direct a situation as was originally portrayed.
What are we missing then? What is the public missing that you want people to know about your client?
Well, we articulated a lot about our client today, and hopefully the court took that into consideration in imposing what the court felt was appropriate. One of the defendants still faces a potential trial in the case. I don't want to try the case here on the courthouse steps when another defendant is entitled to due process and entitled to confront and cross-examine witnesses and present his defense. So I'll simply say that the facts were a great deal more complex in our view than has been often portrayed or implied.
But you believe your client, Mr. Curnow, played a much lesser role than former Officer Carter in this case, and that obviously played a part in your negotiations and deal.
It did. I don't want to speak for the prosecution. We've always viewed Mr. Curnow's role as much lesser. We have attempted from early on in the litigation to make that point to the prosecution. I can't speak for them as to what eventually persuaded them to resolve by settlement. The settlement, while not perfect from our perspective, allows Mr. Curnow to get closure with the case, to proceed forward, to be the husband and father that he is, and to leave the litigation with no felony conviction, which is enormously important going forward, enormously important long term. So one of our primary and principal goals from the outset of the case was to see if the case could be resolved without a felony conviction. We were able to achieve that goal. We're pleased with that. We obviously had hoped for some other particulars of the resolution to be even more favorable than that. And as I indicated in court, you don't always get everything you want through a negotiated settlement. So the parties compromised. I think both have some frustrations with the case, but I can say that I think the parties worked very hard to achieve a fair settlement in the case.
Did the 6